Hey everybody, it's Ron Bass again with another edition of The Ron Bass Show. That's your source. It's your source. It's your source for inspiration, encouragement, motivation, and some humor. Speaking of humor, Mr. Brent Atterbury, executive producer, marketing guru.
Hello.
What say you, sir?
I'm glad to be here. And are you yelling?
Am I yelling?
It seems like you're yelling.
I'm glad to be anywhere.
You're talking loud,
I'm
not
talking
yelling.
loud.
That's
I'm
it.
sorry.
That's okay.
You made a comment earlier. You said you're really fired up.
You are fired up.
I don't know what the deal is. I just came from the gym. Maybe that's what's up, huh?
That's it.
That must be it.
Exercise.
Exercise. Man, we talk about it all the time. I know I'd probably bore you guys to death with it. But the reality is, man, it's just the whole ball of wax. I went to a kidney doctor yesterday. When you get old, you have to go to the urologist guy. You have to go to the kidney guy. You have to go to they've got specialists for everything. And when you're on Medicare, Social Security, they put you with all these different specialists. I guess it's a good thing, supposed to be a good thing, because, you know, when you get old, you've got to deal with all these illnesses that go along with aging, or potential illnesses, and they want to keep you around a little bit longer. Now, if you want to be cynical, you could say that's because they want to bilk it for more money. If you want to be not cynical, you could say, well, that's to keep you alive longer and healthy longer. Sometimes I wonder what the reality really is about these things. So the kidney doctor is a super cool guy. He works out all the time like I do. He's young and he's enthusiastic and he's always excited to see me because he says that I'm unusual for my age to have the things going for me that I have going for me, and I take that as a compliment. But then I say the cynical side of me says, or is he just patronizing me? And then I get into this discussion with myself about patronization. Like when you're old, are people just when they compliment, oh, you look really good for your age, and I think, maybe they're just patronizing me. Maybe they just want me to feel good about myself.
So
you know,
hey, I'll take it.
I'll take it. But then I start going down this line of thinking. Not that has anything to do with motivation, guys, but I just find that if you're old and you're listening, but actually nobody's old on all my subscribers are like under 40, under 30. So,
awesome.
and they're listening to us from India and Russia and the United States. And those are the three countries so far that I see we have subscribers.
Awesome.
Yeah, so that's interesting, I find.
Yeah.
I find everything interesting.
You do.
There must be something wrong with me. I don't know, man. How could I get so excited about things?
Ron, you're interesting.
Is that it? Okay, thank you. Okay, so podcast. Back to the podcast. One of our subscribers rather, made a comment, something along the lines of, hey, do you think it's okay that I get jealous whenever my daughter gets more attention than I do? And the answer to that is, no, you should not be getting jealous. You should be taking that as a compliment that you have a family member that's well thought of, or that's exceptional, or maybe super attractive or cute or whatever, and not let that be something that would bother you. I get where you're coming from, because maybe you are at a point in your life where you're not getting enough attention, or maybe you don't have a good self-image. I'm not sure about that because you didn't comment like that. This is conjecture. But I would suggest to you that you should take a hard look at your feelings and recognize that that's probably not healthy to feel like that. What do you think, sir?
Well, that all depends on the situation again.
She's saying that her daughter gets a lot of attention.
I know, but see, I'll give you an example.
Okay.
I'm nice and I give my sister-in-law a hug, but my niece and nephew, I play with them all the time. I don't play with her. I play with them because they're my niece and nephew, and I'm giving them a hard time. And then the conversation is a little different with her and my brother. So it's a, I guess it's a different kind of attention. But I'm not going to give her the same volume of attention as I am my niece and nephew. So, I mean, I think it just depends on the situation of what you're talking about. If it happens that way all the time, every single day, then that is something different. But
well, I just want to suggest that you the mother should recognize that the daughter,
Yeah.
deserves that attention if that daughter is doing, the right things, being pleasant, well groomed, et cetera, intelligent, et cetera, and that you should take pride in that, not jealousy. That's what I'm getting at. So that's my opinion.
I agree.
All right, I'm glad somebody agrees with me. Okay, on to the next subject. This is just some things that happened this week that I find interesting. I just kind of wanted to comment on the idea that when you're working with companies that are publicly traded companies, like corporate companies, right? Companies that aren't owned by an individual. Like in my case, I own my own business and I don't have any stockholders, don't have any investors. I find that people like myself are much more customer oriented, much more interested in the customer satisfaction than when you get involved with corporate companies or publicly traded companies. And I'm going to go around in a circle here. The reason I'm bringing this up is because I've had a lot of bad experiences lately with these kinds of businesses where they do things in a way that I would never do. As an example, always getting a recording versus a live person. And it's got to be because they're trying to save money. And it's not just corporate, it's governments. I mean, the government's got all the money in the world, right? They can keep writing checks. And even they're at this point where it's like everything's a recording, or AI, and you have to go through a process to try to get through to the right person. So I say that to say this, guys, that it's just really a shame how in today's world customers are treated so poorly. And I'm assuming, maybe I shouldn't assume, that a lot of you people are going through the same thing I'm going through. It's almost like it's motivation for me to run my company even more effectively, even more efficiently, in a much better way to help the client to get the satisfaction that they deserve. I find that people are much more, being in the retail business now for almost 50 years, it's like people are so stressed out now. And I see this every day when I talk to my customers in person or on the phone. And it's just getting to the point where there's so much drama and so much sensationalism going on in business and the way that companies interact with their clients. I'm determined to keep it simple, down to earth. Every morning I call every customer from every day before and I thank them for their business and I want to make sure they're happy. And if they're not, I can hit it head on right then. So if you guys are in business out there, take it from me. A follow-up call every day is super cool. And customers are going to love you for that. They're just going to love the idea that you have that much concern for their that they're patronizing you and using you, and also that they're happy that you show respect to call them and make sure that they're happy. So I just want to throw that out there. We're living in a world and a day and time now where things are getting just crazier by the minute. And even more of a reason why I think you need to go to the gym or work out somewhere every day. Take an hour a day, guys, and walk and run or swim or skateboard or bike or canoe or swim or go to the gym. Do something, martial arts, and get some exercise in every single day so that the brain's going to feel better, the body's going to feel better, you're going to sleep a lot better. I've got a lot of friends that are struggling with sleeping. If they would just work out every day, they're going to be so tired physically that the brain can't stay awake. And you're going to sleep. And when you sleep well, what happens, Brent?
You're stressed.
When you sleep well, what happens to you? When you get a good night's rest, what happens?
You get up and you start singing. No, you get up
and you start singing. That's pretty good. The first thing I do in the morning, I smile. I go to the mirror and I smile.
At yourself?
Yeah.
Oh, good.
Yeah. And then I have to, then it's like, okay, that's enough of that. No, I think it's important to psych yourself up every morning. Well, what do you got to lose? If you turn right around after you do that and you get a nasty phone call, at least you're in a better mood when you get the nasty phone call.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yes.
I don't know where that came from. Years ago, I learned to do that. Every single morning when I get up, I walk straight to the mirror and I smile. And I think, oh my God, I'm old now. No, I don't say that. I say, you know what? I'm going to have a good day today.
I'm alive.
I'm alive, man. And
I can smile.
I'll take that, right?
Yeah.
Okay. What else do you want to talk about? Stuff? I got more stuff here.
Yeah, let's talk about more stuff. And then
Okay.
I
You got
have
stuff?
some breaking news.
Oh, let me
But
get the breaking news.
You want to hear it now?
Yeah.
You sure?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I had to bring this up because, we talked about riding a bike, getting exercise.
Yes.
Well, in Philadelphia, there's an article that talks about recently hundreds cruised Philadelphia streets in the 15th annual Philly Naked Bike Ride.
Naked bike ride.
Yes.
For real.
Yes, and I'm not sure why they do that. I just tried to visualize as a man riding a bike with no clothes on. That doesn't sound fun or comfortable.
That's not comfortable for sure.
Yeah, so I can't visualize that and how that would work. But that's what's happening in Philadelphia.
That's interesting.
Yeah. And then today is National Beach Day. We don't have a beach here,
No,
but
not in
I guess
Missouri.
for those of you that do, celebrate on the beach.
Cool.
And then it's National Toasted Marshmallow Day.
Oh my God.
So if you love s'mores,
s'mores, yeah.
Yeah.
Fair enough. I think when we were in Boy Scouts campouts, we used to do that.
Oh yeah.
was
Well, we
fun.
do it all the time with my grandkids.
do?
Oh yeah. We'll get the graham crackers out and the chocolate bar and the marshmallow and we roast it. Great dessert. Great
Well,
dessert.
on a side note, let me tell you streaking stories. You're talking about naked bike riding. So
Yes.
You know the streak story, or maybe you don't remember, but I'm going to go back 50 years plus. There's a singer named Ray Stevens. Probably don't know who this guy is, but you can look him up. Famous guy back in the day.
My dad sang that song on his show.
Oh, he sang that song?
For years.
And your father's a
Yeah.
professional comedian.
Yeah.
So Ray Stevens came out with a song called The Streaker. And at any rate, when I was in college, we had these streaker events. I mean, I'm talking about thousands of people lining the street at the campus. And I mean, people would literally streak down through in between the crowd. And I'll never forget that as long as I live. It was the craziest thing ever. And I was witnessing that as a teenager.
Are you okay?
I don't think I've ever been quite right since then, to be honest. I have this video in my head. I can't.
It's
get rid
hard.
of it. It's hard to get. It's hard. Okay. Here's a complaint about taxes. So, it's just like the government always has to keep coming up with ideas to create income. So it's about tax, right? And they came up with these super creative ways to do it, like property tax. Now think about this. You work your whole life to own a home, and now you got to pay tax on the home. And if you don't pay tax on the home, they're going to sell your home. Now, where's the fairness in that? That's crazy to me. And you know what? People lose their homes all the time for this. This is bizarre. Car tax, sales tax, income tax. So how about just everybody pay 10% a year of their income? Wouldn't that be a lot simpler than trying to come up with all these? And there's a million more taxes, right? How about just tax everybody 1%? 100 years ago, you didn't have any of this. And the government survived just fine. So what does that tell us? Inefficiency. I'm driving down the road the other day, 3 people standing there next to a backhoe. It takes one guy. Maybe a helper. Come on, man. It's just waste. Stamps. Yesterday, I bought a roll of stamps. You know how much the stamps are now? $15 for a roll of stamps.
Well, how many stamps you get?
20.
Woo! Yeah.
It's up to almost 80 cents a stamp now. Now think
Yeah.
about that.
Yeah.
I remember just a few years ago, 30 cents, 35 cents, 20. It's just gone. It's out of control. But that's my complaint for today. Okay, here's a really sad story, but I want to visit about this subject: suicide. So there's a high school principal that was accused of. I don't know. I don't remember all the details of the article, but here's the gist of it. He was accused of some kind of a sexual crime with kids in the class or in the school. This guy had been a principal for 30 years, 40, a long time. Well thought of, good guy. Apparently wrongly accused. Somebody, whatever, made this accusation. This guy goes to Disneyland and writes a suicide note and jumps off the friggin' 20-story parking lot garage and kills himself. And I'm thinking to myself, that you can't get a story any more sad than that. But the idea of this discussion with you guys is to suggest that, hey, if you ever get to the point where something's that bad and you don't think you've got a way out, rethink it, man, because there's got to be a way out. There's got to be something that could be done. Counseling, medication, exercise, something, maybe several things that you could do to calm yourself down enough to where you can take that thought out of your head. This guy was a perfectly normal guy. I mean, until this happened. He wasn't like a suicidal guy or a depressed guy. So it just goes to show you that when things go bad in your life, you can get to the point where you can literally take your life. And there's probably as many people that consider it that don't do it. Fortunately, they didn't pull that trigger. But in this case, I just found that to be such a sad, sad story, man. And he went to Disneyland and wrote this beautiful long letter of how he apologized, but he just couldn't deal with it anymore. Isn't that crazy?
That is.
One more thing, one more subscriber made a comment about trust. And then we'll get out of here. We'll finish up. Basically, the subscriber was suggesting that they've been through so much in their life now they just can't trust anybody because they've been hurt so much, right? Sound familiar? I've been down that road before where you do everything for somebody and then they just turn around on you and hurt you and disappoint you and cheat on you or stab you in the back, so to speak. And my only suggestion about this is to suggest to you that you just have to really think this thing through, because in the end, I believe there are more good people than bad people. And you have to be very careful. We had a podcast about this recently where we talked about how important it is to pick your friends, right? Pick your relationships. It's not perfect, but if you have some feelings early on in these relationships that it's not going to work out, follow your gut feeling, because it's probably going to be right. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
It's not worth taking the risk if you think you're going to get screwed around and be hurt, because that's something that'd go away so quick. That's tough.
Yeah, and I say it again. Trust is earned. You make that person earn the trust. You don't have to open up and tell everything to everybody.
No.
And share or trust everything with everybody. Give it in small increments, and keep your closest, your most private information, private. You don't share that with too many people.
I'm an open book, man.
Yes,
You want to know something about
you're
me, just ask
interesting.
me. And you know what? You're wise.
Oh, wise? Okay.
Yeah, not a wise guy.
Not a wise guy?
No. I beat you to the punch.
You did.
Uh-huh. All right. Well, any last closing thoughts, sir?
No, this has been a very interesting podcast.
I appreciate that. And you've contributed so much to it. Well, here's the deal, guys. If you don't give up, which is something you should just never consider. I learned a long time ago, you just can't give up. You can be at the bottom of the pit, man. You can be sucking air and thinking that it's not going to work. But you know what? If you don't give up and you reinvent yourself and you figure out what you've done wrong, you make the corrections, sooner or later you're going to make some progress. Sometimes it could be remarkable, sometimes it could be incremental, but it's still progress.
4 months ago to today, we're sitting here. Are things better for you now than they were 4 months ago?
Dramatically better.
So that proves the point.
Proves the point. I wouldn't have brought that up, but since you brought that up, I appreciate that. Another thing is never talk about yourself, always talk about other people. I've learned that the hard way. So, in the end, guys, like I say, if you don't give up, sooner or later those stars, they're going to line up. And along the way, it's really important to keep your head up, keep your chin up, and stay positive.